right, everyone. All right, everybody, come on in, come on in. Happy Thanksgiving. If you celebrate, we are so happy that you all are taking some time out of your evening to spend with us. Welcome to day 23 of our 30-day Elegance Boot Camp. I am Maggie. You may know me as Maggie, the substitute teacher from my cooking channel, where I like to cook sugar-free, dairy-free, and gluten-free. Not today, though, y'all. I ate some of everything, and I am feeling it, but I'm having a good time with family. I'm also very passionate about helping feminine women attract and keep the masculine man of their dreams. I'm all about food and femininity. Lucy and I have created the Finishing School for the Modern Woman. It is an 8-week private, sorry, y'all, there's a little insect. It's an 8-week privately taught virtual Saturday school open to women of all ages. We start again in January. So if you're interested, registration is open. We would love to teach you if you know anyone who wants to perfect and refine their etiquette, elegance, and femininity. Lucy, would you like to introduce yourself?
It's funny because my microphones are acting up right now, and even my mouse, I can't get it to work the right way. Anyway, so yes, my name is Lucy. I have a channel where I basically teach Spanish, and from time to time I post some topics about elegance, femininity, and how the Western world is being robbed out of our femininity. Women in the Western world have lost that. So we're trying to get back into relearning it or reusing it, refreshing it. And this is where we are. And if you hear my dog in the background, I started talking and she started crying. It never fails. I swear, these dogs. Anyway, so yes, looking forward to today's topic.
Absolutely. Lucy and I both have a Kevin Samuels connection. She's a moderator on his channel. I booked a session with him, so we both were fans of the late great Kevin Samuels, and I'm just imagining his that sound on his soundboard. All right, I see you all coming in. Come on in. So what are we doing? So the Elegance Boot Camp is a 30 for 30 episode. We were planning on doing 30 minutes, but we have so much engagement in the chat, and we love it when you all communicate with us. So we are reviewing a book called The Ultimate Elegance Guide. This is from Vivienne. She is also a content creator. Her channel is Woman of Elegance, and I would highly recommend that you all follow her. She is Woman of Elegance on all socials, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. So she's written this book, and it is 30 things to start doing to begin your elegance journey. And I reached out to her, and she's given us permission to teach from her book. So we cover one topic per day. If you would like your own copy of the book, the link is in the description. You can get it. It's an instant download. You can use code ELEGANCE20 for 20% off the book, so you can have your own copy. However, if you're part of our finishing school, we have a very generous sponsor, Brandon L. Jett, who has made the book available for all of our students, current and future. So registration is open. Go to teachablemomentswithmaggie.com. We start again January 6th. All right. So I am going to bring everybody up to speed as we have been doing with what we have covered. If this is your first time here, welcome. So let's go through these quickly. We are coming down the path. All right. So this is November 1 through November 30th. We started with the outside in. Make sure you have a signature style, ladies. Make sure your closet, Vivienne calls it a wardrobe. Make sure your closet is organized. Make sure your shoes and accessories complement what you're wearing. Make sure your makeup and
I don't think
hairstyle.
I don't think we're seeing the slide presentation.
You know what? Yeah, I did something to my StreamYard. Thank you for telling me, Lucy. I need to click this button. Okay, my apologies, everyone. Thank you. I was playing around, and what does that button do? Well, now I know. All right. Okay, ladies. So Some of you all have already seen this, but we talked about your signature style, your closet, your shoes and accessories, your makeup and hair. Make sure you're always neat and smelling nice, your grooming, your posture. Then we moved into conversation etiquette because how we communicate is a big part of being elegant. Make sure you listen more than you speak. Make sure you think before you talk. Make sure you speak articulately when you do, but don't share everything, ladies. An elegant woman has a little bit of mystery to her. Make sure you watch your body language so you don't give off any of those nervous ticks and clicks. Make sure you're well read so you can be versatile and smart in any environment. Then we moved on to the dining etiquette. Food is a big part of life. Clearly, I like to eat. When you dine with others, it's important to know your table manners. Make sure you use those utensils correctly because they do have a purpose. Make sure when you're in a restaurant, you know how to read the menu, and make sure you know the protocol for what happens when you eat out with others. We spent a couple days talking about afternoon tea, even though it is a British tradition. We have a lot of fun with it here in the States. So we talked about afternoon tea. We are in the relationship section of the Ultimate Elegance Guide. We talked about choosing your mate wisely, but don't lose who you are. Make sure you are bringing something to the table. Ladies, yes, we do receive, but we should also give. And yesterday we talked about not acting desperate because, again, we can't change them. A man is who he is. All right, so now let me see if I can bring up Vivienne's book and we will pick up where we left off. All right, let's see if I can do this properly here and make sure I come over to share so you all can see. Bring that up. Add. There we go. All right. So again, you all can download your own copy of the book. This is the book, The Ultimate Elegance Guide. This is Vivienne, and so grateful she's allowed us to teach from her content, The Ultimate Elegance Guide, Become Elegant in 30 Days. And Lucy and I always say, ladies, you've never arrived, right? We can always work on our elegance, but you can get better because you will age, but you can age gracefully. And we are here as older women in our 40s and 50s to make sure you have the tools. All right. So before we begin, yes, we're up to be trustworthy. Before we begin, Lucy, would you like to add anything?
Not much. I just think that today's topic is going to bring, I hope that it can bring some chat in the chat box and good questions as well. So looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Oh, goodness, I'm rough today. All right, so let us begin. Let's see, where are we with the being trustworthy? What does Vivienne say? Excuse me. Match your words with your actions. Have integrity and self-respect. Be mature and dependable. All right, let's unpack this, ladies, because she's saying a lot here. Match your words with your actions. Now, I don't know. Sometimes I just feel like I'm aging myself, but I'm sure Lucy would agree. There was a time when your words actually meant something. Your yes meant yes. Your no meant no. Um, it just seems like it was so simple, and now things have gotten so complicated, especially in the relationship space. There's so much game playing and people trying to outthink or outwit or outdo each other. And I think it's really hurt how wonderful relationships can be. But this is something that will make you stand out. And here's the thing, ladies, you don't have to explain why it's a yes or why it's a no. You can just say it's a no or it's a yes, but make sure if you do say that you follow through. We talked a little bit about this in the dining section when we were talking about RSVPs, but it's really just when you speak your words and you speak for yourself, you're actually giving a part of who you are. You're representing who you are. So your actions should actually follow that. So be intentional. And I think it goes back to taking some time to think before you give an answer. And if you're not prepared to give an answer right now, you can say that. You can say, you know what, I don't want to rush to give an answer. Let me sleep on it, or let me get back to you, or when do you need to know? And then take the time to plan or think or ask or whatever you need to do, and then give a solid response that you can stand by. I think not only is it elegant, but it's just I think it's a mature thing to do, right? It's young people, our kids that were kind of like, "Did you really take the cookies?" Y'all know. So be trustworthy. Have integrity and self-respect. Yes, absolutely. That's a big part of it. And then be mature and dependable. I know we often talk about in relationships, because Lucy and I come from a traditional standpoint, men are the ones who lead and we are a support system. If you choose this type of relationship, I am well aware that there are many kinds. However, even if you aren't leading in a relationship, you should be dependable. You should be a support system if that's the relationship that you choose to engage in. And the man that you select and that selects you should be able to count on you following through on what you say. Especially ladies with men, they're not emotional creatures like we are. So when they say something or when they ask for something, they're looking for consistent patterns. That's one of the ways that they vet us without saying anything. They're watching to see how we handle good times, bad times. Can we get our emotions in check? Are we all over the place? Now, again, yes, you're going to be a woman and you're going to be emotional, but let your yes be yes. What would you say, Lucy?
Okay, I'm muted. So I'm trying to figure out this my microphone. So, and another thing with this, it's how, how I see this is that we want the same thing from our men. We want the same thing, men to match their words with their actions, have integrity and self-respect, be mature and dependable. But we should give that as well. So again, that's where the balance in a relationship comes in. Because if all you expect is um, the man to match his words with his actions, to have integrity and self-respect, and be mature and dependable from them. But do they have the same thing from us? So again, just have that in your minds, because we always, again, like we've said before, we watch what they do instead of what people say for the most part. And when they say something, we watch if what they say matches what they do. So they are expecting the same thing from us as well. And it goes back to consistency. Are you saying yes? And does that yes mean yes? Or are you saying yes, maybe? And that men do not take that well. It's either a yes or a no. We women, we're like sailboats. We go with the flow. But with men, your word is your word. And if you say, yes, I'm going to be ready by 10 o'clock to go to dinner by 10:30, you better be ready at 10 o'clock, because again, it's his time as well. It's just, it gives them the ability to depend on you whenever he needs to.
I love that. Lucy said so much there. And ladies, it's so true. A couple of things I want to share with you. We always like to give you tangible tips that you can take to improve. If you mess up, own it. Don't play any of these games that women do. Well, you know how I am, or you made me, or I was this. No, just stand on your square, or like the kids say, keep that same energy and say, I know I said I would be ready. I knew you were on your way. I thought I could get this extra errand in and I was late. I'm sorry. I should not have done that. Just own it. So really plan and be considerate of their time or their money or whatever it is that they're giving you, because they don't have to. But yes, just I want to say just be a grown up, but that just seems like it's oversimplified. But yes, it's really important, because time is the one thing we spend and none of us are going to get back. All right. So let's see what you all are saying in the chat, and then we will continue on. Seeing everybody come in. Hello, hello. Happy Thanksgiving. Yes, it was great. Y'all know family. We love them, but sometimes it's a lot. But I had a wonderful time. Hello, everybody coming in. Dr. Sherry says her dad said, your word is all you have. And that's so true. I mean, ladies, I know we live in modern age and, we appreciate technology. We're using technology to bring this elegance boot camp to you. But if you think about relationships that have survived for hundreds and thousands of years before you had all of these modern conveniences, if someone said, yes, I will provide for your daughter, that man expected him to, make sure that his daughter was not hungry and homeless, destitute on the street. It meant something. So even though in modern times your words still can and should mean something, because when you're with a man, we believe in marriage or long term, you are basically the closest thing to him. You have the keys to the kingdom. You see everything. You know where all the bodies are buried. And so a man is really looking at you like, can I trust you if the worst happened and you had to continue on and make sure the family and you know where the safe is and all of that stuff, right? That we don't want to think about. Are you trustworthy that he can clear his mind? He doesn't be worrying about you doing all of this other stuff, and you are a woman of your word. And I think it's mature and I think it's very attractive. Hello, happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Rodney says, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Aw, shucks. All right, I don't know if that's Thanksgiving or talking about being honest. Rodney says, life, love, and time are a form of mutual respect and exchange. Yeah, absolutely. Hello, Linda. We have students in the chat. Being trustworthy takes time. Yes, ladies. So even if you are an honest person, a trustworthy person, and you know yourself, but that other man who's vetting you, he doesn't know you. And so expect it to take time. Expect him to test you. Expect him to wait and see that who you showed up as is who you actually carry yourself out as. I do consults outside of here. I do one-on-ones, and especially ladies who are attractive and who have had the leverage in dating, where they're calling the shots, where they're shooting men down, where they're saying, no, okay, you did this, I don't like it, on to the next one. They really struggle in relationships because relationships are very different. And a man is going to move at the pace that he wants to move. He's not going to let you say, yeah, I know, but I'm good and I'm ready. Oh, you're ready? Okay, let's go. I got a job for you to do. Let's see how you do. That's how masculine men move. And so you need to be ready to follow through with who you say you are. All right. So let's see what else Vivienne says. Uh-oh. There we go. Be mature and dependable. Don't toy with a man's emotions. Yeah, that's a game you don't want to play. Be serious-minded and keep the frivolities out. Frivolities, yeah, frivolous, right? Stick to one romantic relationship at a time. I love this. I absolutely love this. Ladies, I understand that the modern way of dating, especially those of y'all that are on these apps. I talked to a lady the other day who has hundreds. I'm physically exhausted even thinking about that. I don't think it's normal in the sense that we weren't built to have to remember all these nuances of multiple people at one time. Especially as women, we're built differently and we form connections. And that's the reason why I know yesterday we talked about intimacy, and there's no judgment here. Do what you do. But I think it's very unnatural for a woman to have a rotation. You can argue with me all you want to, but I think ultimately you're going to want somebody more once you've given so much of yourself. You're going to try and patch something together. So I really like that. So stick to one romantic relationship at a time. Ladies, I think when you're dating, and for me and from me, the purpose of dating is to see if there is a match for marriage or long term. I don't really see I understand that people believe in casual, but if I know I want a relationship, it would be a waste of time for me to entertain anything casual because I'm going to be looking for something that's never going to be there. I really think when you're dating somebody and you're really being vetted and he's vetting you and you're really considering him, you should give it your best effort. You should have your full attention and then make a decision exclusive to this man. You shouldn't be comparing, man. I know we're all competing and I get that, but when you're actually in a relationship with someone, I'm not talking about a coffee date, but I'm talking about when you're really in a relationship trying to spin too many plates. I think it gets women in trouble because you forget things, you mess things up, and then you're not really fully present. You're just kind of there, and then you miss things, and then you're kind of monkey branching from one to the other. So, what I would say, make a decision. If this is the man that you want to be in relationship with, date him exclusively. Hopefully, it has a happy ending. But if it doesn't, we've talked about ways that you can exit with grace. Like Lucy said, take time to heal, clear things out, and then try again. But I also think that just shows up as much more mature and trustworthy than having a lot of stuff going on at the same time. What would you say, Lucy?
So I need to have them both on. Okay, hold on. Okay, so I gotta have them both on. So it's a tough one to relate to on this topic, this section about sticking to one romantic relationship at a time. I think that the view about dating with intention takes care of having that roster of I don't know, men waiting on the sideline for when things do not work. So I think that what Maggie said, when you decide to date someone, it's got to be exclusive from the beginning. I know that men do it differently. We're not men. Women are designed differently. You have been told a lie by these Western, you know, visions and beliefs that women can do things, especially when it comes to the sexual value market, that you can do it like men. It's impossible. We are not wired that way. You can think and believe that you can do it, but from what I have seen, the result of that is women crying, getting online, crying because they don't find a man that will accept them with all the baggage that they bring. So I think that making the decision that you're going to date exclusively from the get-go, I think it will keep you away from all that trouble that you can get when you tell your potential person that's interested with you, well, you're not the only one. I have two or three on the sideline, just in case. It's not ladylike. It's not feminine. It's not elegant. And it just, you shouldn't even think about having it, because once you decide that this man is the one that's going to be taking most of your time, you shouldn't have time for anybody else.
No, I completely agree. And I try and give some tangible tips to you ladies. I mean, Lucy and I have shared, we both married young, and first marriages ended in divorce after 10, 11, 12 years. And now we're in our second relationships, married and long term. So, ladies, if you didn't get this type of teaching and you were told that you should just use men for dates, for experiences, for food, for taking you out on the town, all of that is wrong. I'm a boy mom, and so I feel very passionate about men being treated, with respect. I always have, but I'm even more passionate about it now. But ladies, you can say so. And here's one thing that I want to say: don't let someone else's behavior dictate your behavior. For example, in this section, we're talking about being trustworthy. You can easily say, I understand you may be seeing other people, but I really like to devote my full attention to getting to know, whoever I'm dating. So I'm not dating anybody else as long as I'm seeing you. You can say that. And to me, that kind of commands a little bit of like, wow, okay, she's really taking this seriously. Again, we can't change a man, but you can ask, now, again, not in the beginning when you're just having coffee or whatnot. But if this is like becoming a relationship or he's established a relationship, I think these are the conversations that need to be said in the beginning. So you're not in that kind of like, are we not? I think it's confident. You can be confident and stay very feminine, but you can just say, for me, I only date one person at a time. So before, like if a man asks you to be his lady, before we move on, how do you see relationships? What does relationship look like to you? You can ask these open-ended questions and allow him to answer. And then that's part of you getting the information that you need to make the best decision, and not that you're frazzled here and there. And if he says that, I haven't really decided yet, and you want to continue to see him because you see him as husband material or long-term material, you can say, I understand that. I know, ultimately it's your decision, but I'm not seeing anybody else. So there are ways that you can absolutely show up as what Vivienne said, as serious minded. She says, be serious minded and keep the frivolities out, if I'm saying that correctly. But yes, ladies, even in the past, if you did the foodie dates or you had a rotation or whatever, I wouldn't even bring that up. I'm not saying to lie. If someone asks you a direct question, you can give a direct answer and still be discreet. You could say something like, I didn't really take dating seriously in the past, but I realize now that, for me, anybody that I date moving forward, I see them as husband material. So I'm going to treat it as such. You can say things like that that show that you've evolved and you're ready to take this seriously. And ladies, that kind of weeds out the men that don't have good intentions, because they know they're already dealing with a woman who's a serious candidate, or at least that's how she carries herself, right? She's not here for the foolishness. Let's see what you all are saying in the chat. Rodney says, men are always leery of situational ethics when dating. Men want emotional and moral consistency. I love that emphasis on the consistency. But yeah, those situational ethics, ladies, you really have to know who you are, what your standards are, what your boundaries are, what you will and won't do, what you will and won't tolerate, irrespective of any man in the picture. I am who I am. I was the same. I mean, I've gotten better, I've refined, but I was the same Maggie in my marriage. I'm the same. Like, the core of who I am does not change. And if God forbid I found myself single again, pray not, never, but I would still be the same Maggie in any relationship, because I know who I am. So yeah, that's situational. I'll act right for this guy, but for this guy, I can just use him because he doesn't matter. Ladies, that reputation will get you in a lot of trouble. Rodney says living in the moment is essential for long-term relationships leading to marriage. Yeah, I think you should be really present. I think it's also a sign of respect. Put the phone down, stop entertaining all that. I mean, delete the apps. If you've got a good one, give him your full attention. All those other distractions will be there, believe me. What do you say about that, Lucy?
Yeah, the modern dating scene is a little strange for me. It's hard to see young women take their bodies and their emotional situation for granted in their 20s, and then you see them moving in their 30s and 40s in a more of a desperate time trying to find that right man, when they could have taken it slowly on their 20s, making sure that you give yourself time to get to know that right man and dating him for a while. I'm telling you, by the third or fourth date, you would know if that man is of character. You will know, and he will tell you whether he wants to move forward into a more serious relationship. This thing about dating two or three guys at a time, even though you're dating them, you're not doing anything serious. That's not, for me, that's not the way to do it. If you date a man the first time, first date, second date, third date, it's not giving you that. It's not making you think that this man could be someone that you could be with in the future. I think you could put that aside. You can say, it was a great friendship, where this is not what I'm looking for, and you end it that way. I don't see how, as a woman, you can have a calendar filled with this date one, date two, date three, date four. It's not feasible, it's not sustainable, and it's not mentally healthy for a woman to do dating that way.
I agree with you. I see a question in the chat. We'll answer in just a second. I'll give you all a little bit of story time. Are we okay on time, Lucy? Okay. So a friend of mine is a hairstylist, and she's single, but she has a fellow, she's like a barber and stylist. So she works with a lot of men in a barber shop, and she has a fellow like co-worker, I guess, like a barber friend that they are not together, but they flirt at work openly for everyone to see, meaning sometimes she's sitting in his lap. When he comes in or she comes in, she runs up, she gives him air kisses. Like, they just do all of this flirting stuff. And she was like, oh, it's innocent, we're not together. And I told her, I said, but don't you think that's going to confuse men who see you acting this way with another man who's not yours, who has told you he's not interested, he just sees you as a friend or a sister or whatever he said, and you continue to carry yourself that way? Ladies, we show up different when we don't have a man in our life. And I think it's a good thing because, and I don't really get into that energy stuff, but I think you do kind of show up single and available. But when you have a roster, when you have multiple men that you're talking to, whether you realize it or not, you kind of have this air about you that's just kind of like, oh, it's fine. If he doesn't call me, I got my friend, I got my guy, I got whatever, we'll go out, I'll do whatever. So this friend of mine was filling in at another barbershop, and I can't remember if she saw somebody that she liked or someone had mentioned that she was attractive or whatnot. And another barber was like, oh yeah, that's so-and-so's girl. And she was like, oh no, we're not together. We just work together. And what exactly I told her happened. The community saw you as giving your time and attention and your little flirty things that are wonderful. I love doing it, but save that for the man who really claims you. And when you waste that, even things that you think are innocent, when you waste that, public displays of affection and all that stuff, and no, you're not intimate, and no, you're not doing all this stuff, but ladies, remember we said men are always watching. And if they see you sitting in another man's lap, they're going to be like, okay, she's spoken for. And on the inside, you're screaming signal, you're screaming single. You want somebody to, to call you their own, but you haven't made space for that. So ladies, really watch it. If marriage and family is important to you, what did Kevin used to call them, beta male orbiters or whatnot, I'm not telling you you've got to cut off your best childhood friend, but I would argue if they're really your friend, they would understand, hey, I'm going to have to fall back for a while. 2024 is going to be my year. I'm not going to go through another holiday season single. Everybody is out here with their family, and you go home to be with yours, and I'm just sitting here. So I just wanted to share that, ladies, because a lot of times you carry yourself in a way and then you're like, why don't men approach? Okay. Lo Miji says, do you think a man 20 years older can trust a young lady in her 20s? So there's so much to this question. Well, first of all, 20 years is quite the gap. It is doable, but I think it would have to be in a very particular way. For example, because my oldest is, most likely going to go to the military. Let's say there's a man who, right after high school, went to the military and did his 20 years. And he traveled the world, and he didn't want to get married or have a family because he knew he was going to be here, there, and everywhere. So let's say he retired. Now he's like 38, 39, 40, and he wants a wife that's in her early 20s so he can now be home, have multiple children. He approaches her father or, her family members to show his intention, and he moves like a man that really wants to protect and provide and call her his own. That can work. I think that's rare, but it can work. But do I think a man 20 years older can trust? Trust in what way? I'm not sure if I understand the question, but I will say this. Ladies, when you're in your 20s, and we've talked about this is when you are in your prime for the marketplace, for selection. I would say use those powers for good and not evil. And unfortunately, what you're seeing today is a lot of women in their 20s who are just like, oh, I'm a queen, I'm this, I'm that. And they're racking up these bodies and racking up these experiences. You will age and you will get to a point where you're not prime candidate anymore. You're going to be way past the wall. So hopefully you have prioritized, been found by a good man, be a good woman to him and get on down the path. So I'm not sure if I'm understanding the context of the question, but it could be a yes or a no. So I know that's vague. How would you answer that one, Lucy? Or what did you interpret it to mean?
Yeah, I think the way I think he's asking is, can, let's say, a 45-year-old man date a woman in her 25, a 25-year-old woman? Um, it all depends. What is her family life like? Look at the parents. Is there any age gap in the parents, the mom and dad? What examples does she have that will have her act in a respectful manner to somebody that is 20 years older than she is? I think that's a really big gap. For me, I got to tell you, a man in his 40s, he's already been set. You already have your goals. A young lady in her 20s, she's just starting. She's just so I don't know. I think that the gap is it's pretty big. Are there relationship gaps that are 15 years older that have been successful? Yes, but I think that the success rate is lower when the gap is that wide.
Yeah, so hopefully that helps, Lomiji. You can clarify if you would like. Rodney says it appears that women have more emotional energy all day, while men have more physical energy, but both must be focused on exclusive in our behavior towards each other. I agree. I mean, if marriage and family is the goal, and I keep saying that, ladies, and gentlemen, I realize that there are many kinds of relationships out there, and not everybody wants marriage and relationships. So I always say with a caveat, that's what we are talking about here. Now, Celine says, until you find someone you really connect with, it's fine to date multiple people, but that doesn't mean you have to have casual relationships with any of them. That's an option. Again, I don't know if I would disagree. And look, I've been in a long-term relationship, so I haven't dated, but when I do date or did date, I would still focus on what if I don't see I can't imagine myself dating multiple men that are all husband material. Like, yeah, that's I struggle with that. It would be a no for me, but I respect the perspective. Rodney says, in my opinion, dating intentionally will attract a certain type of man or woman. I agree. Because again, ladies, if you say these are my standards and a man approaches you and he's like, yeah, you know what? Don't really think I'm interested in a relationship, but it was such a pleasure to meet you. There's nothing wrong with that. And you know what will happen? He will leave and talk to someone else and be like, you know what, that one right there, yeah, don't step to her unless you're serious because she told me from day one this is what she's looking for. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think it will attract the right caliber of people. That's what I would say. Celine says, I like coffee and a nice walk in the park. Yeah, there's lots of different ways to have a first date. The one above all says, I believe most women do not know if they're called to be married or single. This is a good one. Yeah, I'm really processing that. I'm struggling on this one because I knew, but I was raised to be a wife. I come from a traditional family. So for me, It's odd to be an older woman and not married. This whole I'm just gonna say it, and I may offend some people, and I don't mean to, but I find it very strange that older women are proud to be alone. I know it happens, but the way that we were raised, it's almost like there was something wrong if you didn't settle down and you were like this whole like boss thing. I would say like first world. I don't get it. How would you respond to that, Lucy?
Yeah, I don't think that the Western world is giving examples of what it is to be in a good marriage or a marriageable woman. I think all they see is um, women can do whatever they want. And when they decide that life gets tough in the marriage, they can bail out. And there are different benefits that they get once they decide to bail out. So I think the modern world is going through a crisis right now because we see all these older women that have either decided not to marry or decided to divorce, thinking that they're going to get something better once they divorce the man that they were bored with. And they're finding themselves in a really tough spot because the world for a woman alone is tough, especially when you get older. So I think that we need to, as a society, need to start bringing back the beauty of a long-term relationship, long-term marriage, what it does for both, what it does for society, what it does for family, what it does for the community. And unfortunately, that's not what we're seeing happening right now. It seems like, we are on on our way to destruction, and I don't know if we can bring back those traditional uh, values or traditional perspectives of wanting to have that relationship from beginning to end of life.
Yeah, I agree with you. Thank you so much for this one, the one above all. I would just say, and I don't disagree with you, I would just say, ladies, and we've talked about this before, love is really a decision. So I would just say, I don't know if it's called to be married or single. With this being said, I know marriage isn't for everyone. I know parenting is not for everyone. I get it. But I would just say, ladies, it is a decision that you need to make. And I would say, make it sooner than later, because what I'm seeing and what most of us are seeing is women who started down one path either because they were sold a lie or thought, oh yeah, I'll take care of that thing later, and kept kicking the can down the road. Then they get to these 30s and 40s and their hair is on fire and they're panicking. So if you have anything in you that wants marriage and family, prioritize it, because it does take work. I think that's another thing. It doesn't have to be difficult, but I think that's another thing a lot of modern women miss. They think it's just going to happen. It's just going to fall into your lap. No, you have to work on it. I have to work on it every day. I think it's beautiful. And this time of year, especially I was talking to my man earlier, with both of us have kids in the teenage years, almost up and out. And it's just like, man, the holidays are going to be really quiet when they're gone. Thank God. But, use this time to really self-reflect, ladies. And if you're happy, God bless you. I mean, and I mean that honestly. Just make sure you can, keep it all the way to 65. All right. So the last thing that Vivienne says after stick to one romantic relationship at a time, remember that insecurity shouldn't push you into having multiple men at a time. Yeah, we've talked a lot about that. I just don't think we're built for it. I don't think it helps. With this being said, ladies, you absolutely should be social, right? You shouldn't stay at home. This could be, I'm making it up, church groups, volunteering, sororities, fraternities, work events, networking, take up an activity, pottery, travel, cooking, whatever it is, you definitely want to mingle with people. Okay, so please don't confuse. This is specific about having more than one romantic relationship. But I think that network is really important because people will talk anyway. Shout out to my friend who got mistaken for being in a relationship when she was just flirting and she thought it was innocent. So, people are already talking about you. Shout out to Bonnie Ray. Give them something good to talk about. Give them something to talk about that's going to help you make your goals. Let's see what else you all are saying. Porcelain says modern dating is disastrous. Ugh, I don't disagree. Rodney says men view respect as a sign of love. They sure do, ladies. Signs of disrespect turn men off and causes them to move away from women. Yeah. And ladies, you're not going to have too many times to take a lap around that mountain. After, once, twice, that's just who you are. Circle back to what I said earlier about owning your mistakes and taking that feedback. And if he says, look, I made plans so we could go to the Cheesecake Factory or whatever it is at a certain time, and you were not ready, own that. And don't try to, wiggle your way out of it. Celine says, sometimes I feel as though modern avenue of dating apps can give you an overload. Yeah. I mean, I understand there's dating apps. I'm not a huge fan of them, and I know I sound outdated here, but if you are going to do the dating apps, like we heard Kevin say, do them in addition to being out in the real world, okay? This thing where you just stay all day and you're scrolling and swiping, I don't think that's normal. You need to be out, you need to talk to people, and then your network. I would let people know, I'm currently on the market. I'm looking for this type of relationship. If you know anyone, please make an introduction. There's nothing wrong with that. Do the dating apps too if you must, but I would say don't do that exclusively. What would you say to that, Lucy?
Yes, and I hear that unfortunately the newer generation has very underwhelming social skills. And I think that social media and technology has kept them in a world where you really don't have to interact one on one. Look at, verbal cues, look at face cues, look at just, it's so good to have a coffee with somebody that you don't know, expecting that you're going to make it maybe make new friends. Go out there without any expectations, and if it works, great. And if not, then you earned a new friend. But you need to get out there and learn how to flirt, how to give that look of interest. Just, I don't know, for men to appreciate you as the woman that you are, but you need to get out there and network and go into different places. Volunteering is a great opportunity to meet a person that has your same values. Go to places that are wholesome. Don't go to clubs, don't go to drinking. No, go to places where you can meet a person on their own complete faculties, no more distraction. And that places here in the United States, we're so lucky to have them because you can go anywhere and meet the right person if you have the appropriate perspective, and you look at meeting people as something beautiful to do, something great to do.
I love that. Shout out to the extroverts, but I love that coming from Lucy. But ladies, it is important. I've shared I'm 47, I'll be 48 Wednesday. Lucy has shared that she's 57, but especially if you want to date older men, or even if they're not older, masculine men who have made themselves, have had to be able to communicate their goals to whoever they are. This is who they are. So you're really going to struggle, ladies, you're not if you haven't sharpened that skill, and it is a skill, and then you're just out here dating for fun, and then you really meet someone who's like a man on his purpose and who has a plan. He is going to be very direct. He's not going to mince words with you. He will pick up the phone and call you, and he would say, I would like to see you. Are you available? Like, it's not difficult, but if you look like a deer in the headlights because you haven't practiced this skill, another reason why wasting your time dating other types of men, it just doesn't help you. I love that, especially if you take time to only date the caliber of men that you could see developing into a relationship. even if it doesn't work out, like Lucy says, it makes you better in the end. You can exit with grace. Okay, I'm so sorry it wasn't a match for me, but I wish you all of the best. But at least you have practiced those relationship skills. You know how to have a conversation. You know how to mingle at his social groups. You know how to interact, if he brought you home for the holidays or whatnot. So many women think it's just, okay, I put on this dress and I look amazing, but you can't speak. You can't um, have a conversation. You can't relax and have fun. You're always checking yourself to make sure you're picture perfect when people really just want to get to know who you are. You got to be able to roll with the punches and be comfortable in your own skin. So yes, the dating apps are there, but you will find yourself, lost and confused if you can't have a conversation with a man. And they're different. They're amazing, but they're different, ladies. They get right to it. We got Haley Wells saying, "Hi, you're so pretty." Lucy is pretty. She's beautiful. Thank you for the compliments. Rodney says, "Men are simple human beings."
You
Absolutely.
means two, not only one. It's both of us. Stop it.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you kindly for the compliment. Let me show you all how to graciously accept a compliment. Thank you. That's very nice of you to say. Good evening, Mr. He said. Soji says, "Good point, Miss Maggie. I forgot it already, but I'm glad it's helpful." Rodney says, "Things or behavior that are confusing to men make us run." Yes, ladies, the way men think, they're very logical. You can think it's mean. You can think it's, oh, you were so short with me. But men operate like they don't have a lot of time to waste, especially when it's a man who's on his purpose. Because, again, like Kevin Samuel said, we really don't take the time to know and understand men. The reason why they need those 10 years to kind of eat, you know what, and just kind of become the man that they are. Men develop later. It takes them time. Believe me, as a mom to two teenage boys, y'all, after Thanksgiving today, like, why do they have to wrestle? Why do you have to play and then you're laughing like, why do you have to do that? Sounds like two wildebeests upstairs, but that's who they are. So men spend a lot of time in the early years, ladies, when you're shooting them down and calling them lame and calling them stupid and all of that. But then something happens. They wake up one day and they're like, okay, you know what? Put the boyish things behind. Now I'm going out here to slay the dragons. And if you have not been prepared on how to come alongside with a man that has a plan and can communicate what that is and says, I need a woman to do this, this, and this. And you're like, all right, ready, let's go. If you're just, kind of like, you get left behind, and they will find someone who is ready. So it is what it is, ladies. Soji says presentation creates perception. Oh, how we show up, right? About how we date. All right, you're nodding, Lucy. What would you say to this
That
one?
was your barbershop friend, how she was presenting herself, and then it created the perception to everybody else that she was in a committed relationship.
Yes, ladies. So just, all of the guy friends and all that stuff that you have, just really think about how it makes you look from the outside looking in, okay? Don't be so short-sighted to just say, "Oh, I just love his hugs. He just gives these great big bear hugs." Okay, but those big bear hugs are not yours. They don't belong to you. You don't belong to him. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised that she has something, feelings towards that person, and she was trying to just put it off as it's really nothing. Because we women do not show, at least not me, I will not show affection to a man that I really don't care for. So I'm thinking that that was her coping mechanism. I think in a way, kind of like, haha, we're playing, but if it happens, it happens.
You are absolutely right. Man, Lucy's got such a good intuition. You're spot on. She wanted more. But here's the thing, and we've talked about this, ladies. He said, I see you as a sister. So he's flat out told you, not in a mean way. And again, ladies, it doesn't make them a bad person, but you have to really slow down and listen to men. He's being nice and telling you, oh, I'm flattered, but I don't see you in that same way. So once a man has told you that, and then you continue to do all these things, he's kind of like, well, I told her, I was honest. They're not going to say, oh, no, 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 no. They're going to continue to allow you to give of yourself. I mean, it's just human nature. Let's not put it all on the men, but you're absolutely right. She wanted more. He told her there wasn't more. And instead of saying, okay, lesson learned, I need to find someone that does see me as, a woman and not like, just a family member, she continued to do all this flirtatious behavior. And now other men, and I think the barbershop could be a great, ladies, I'm not a matchmaker, but I think the barbershop could be a great way not to meet men, but to network, because I'm just thinking about the barbers who have how many clients who come in, 10 or more a day. So they're talking to men that, are in all kinds of different fields, because that's something we all have in common, right? Everybody needs to get a haircut or some type of grooming or whatnot. And if you show up as single and available, fit, feminine, friendly, all of that, it won't take long, especially you're a woman in a barbershop. You're going to stand out, but you want to stand out for the right reasons. And someone might be like, hey, what's up with so-and-so? Imagine how that could have been different. Like, yeah, she's a good one, but she's waiting for something serious. But yeah, man, that one right there, she's a good one. As opposed to, oh, that's so-and-so's girl, on to the game, on to the whatnot. So yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for that. Celine is fine with the age gap dating. I hear you. I hear you. It works for a lot of people. Rodney says maturity is always an issue between two individuals with significant age gaps. I'll just say this. I mean, my ex-husband was 7 years older than me. My current man is, we're in the same age, but it took him a while to get here because men need that time. And I had to allow him that time. So I know there's different kind of relationships, but just sharing. Oh, okay. I understand. You guys have some comments. Let's see if there's any questions in here. Work from home wife says you have a 10-year age gap. Yeah. I have seen, I have heard of lots of different things. Rodney says, is marriage a calling? Again, I'm trying to answer it from my own. I wouldn't say, and I hate to give those yes and no, it depends, but I think there's a part of it that's naturally in you. I think it's two components. You know what they say, nature and nurture, right? I think the nature part of us, I think people can say what they want to, but I think it is normal and natural to not want to do this thing called life alone. I think that it is normal and natural for a woman to want a man and a man to want a woman, maybe in different points of their life and for different reasons. But I think there is something in us that does feel like something is missing when we don't have that one. That's the first thing. That's the nature part. The nurture part of it, I think you can be raised to be a wife or raised to appreciate marriage and family, or you can be raised to be like, girl, go get that bag, the men will come, or forget these men or whatnot. So I don't know if I would say it's a calling. I think it has two components, but I do believe it's a decision. What would you say, Lucy?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I understand the definition of calling, but I do think that you either make a decision to be one with one person with all the good, the bad, the ugly, the uneventful, or you don't. So I think it's more of a choice than a calling.
I agree. We got Uncle Stu in the house. Uncle Stu, the old man on the block. Forgive me. Y'all, please check him out. Also a content creator. I actually did my first interview with Uncle Stu. He says, happy Thanksgiving to both of you young mothers and ladies of elegance. Thank you. And Dr. Sherry says, based on your research in your dissertation, wow, those older women are lying due to pride. Yeah. What do we say? We make the bed and we sleep in it. That's true. So I just tell this is what I tell the women that I consult with, whether it's your friends or your mothers or your aunties or whatnot, the women, even me, that are giving you advice, look at the relationships that they have. And if it is the relationship that you would like to have, consider the source, ladies. We got a lot of, what did Kevin Samuel say? Single women keeping women single. Rodney says good social skills require meaningful one-on-one human interaction. Absolutely. There is no way to bypass that. You have to talk to people and be easy on yourself. That's why I say volunteering or being in these social groups where you already have something in common because you're doing something that you are interested in is a great start. Boy, Mom,
And you
that's
know what? And it's
mhm.
funny because, believe it or not, if a man has asked you to go on a date with him, he already likes you. So as a woman, all you need to be is feminine. Show your feminine side. Be beautiful. Be the beautiful woman that you are. And then things will move along or they will not. But you just have to get out there.
I agree. So we've covered everything that Vivienne said. The one above all says, a man who's mission minded and in his purpose will not waste his time with uncertainty and someone who's messy. I love that. So, ladies, yeah, you have time, but I would say use that time wisely because a lot of women get blindsided because they meet a man and he just blows past them because he's ready. And like my man said, you got to be ready right now. Like they're not here to try and train you. And so what they just do is they move on. And then you're like, but no, because he was ready and you still thought we were playing games. And it is not a game to men. They take this very seriously. Lily says, Happy Thanksgiving. We got Killis watching in the house. Lily's husband is older, acting like an old man, old married couple, 26 and 27. I love it. Yes, y'all got a lot of names for me and Lucy. I think Killis yesterday said eventually we'll turn into the old couple. You may know us as Maggie and Lucy, Laverne and Shirley. Shout out to Zoom to Thailand. He calls us Salt and Pepper. Y'all call us Maggie Lou, Kid and Play. There's so many. Yeah, 30-year age gap, married. Absolutely. All right. Yeah, marriage is a choice. I agree. And look, life is a choice. All right. I mean, what you do in life. We are just here for those ladies who are interested in marriage and long term and maybe didn't get this teaching. We are here. So we have courses. We have, I do individual coaching. The Finishing School for the Modern Woman is our flagship. We start again in January. There was a post I made about a Black Friday special. If you ladies are interested, you can use code Black Friday, all one word, for a very special discount. All right, I think that's it. So, are we live tomorrow, Lucy? Or
Well, I don't know.
okay,
I mean, we can have one live and then
okay,
do the rest
okay. All
because
right. Mhm.
someone committed herself to 30 days, 30 minutes, 30 days, but they have a cruise to go to for what is it, 7 days? What a
I
life.
wish it were 7 days, 5 days. So yes, you all. Just to be very transparent with you all, I got this idea that we would do this 30 for 30, and here we are on day 23. So we will be back tomorrow for our standard, let me check the time, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific live. But just so you all know, we are going to have to pre-record some for the last week of November. If you all have been rocking with me on my channel, you know we're doing a Maggie meetup cruise, and we're actually flying out Monday. Some of y'all are flying out Sunday. So it'll be me, it'll be AV, it'll be the lead attorney, it'll be several other scholars. So I'm going to be in the Bahamas, but of course I will be making content for you all and going live when I can. I got the internet package, but I didn't know how this was going to play out. So um, we will pre-record some, but I will still be in the chat. Lucy and I will be in the chat to engage with you all So if you want to catch the lives, you have maybe today and Sunday, we'll figure it out. Kili says, we got to talk to people, Maggie. Doggone it. I know. Lomiji says, what can we use the code for? It's 50% off the courses and consults with me. So the code is Black Friday. The link is in the description. All right. 5 days we're going to the Bahamas, flying out from Orlando. Yes, Lucy has jokes. Yes, we're going to have an amazing time. So we are planning, I'll go ahead and announce it here. So some of y'all don't want to cruise, and that's totally fine, but we are planning a meetup next April. We're going to have our graduation party for our students. So those who are interested in the finishing school, you will get your digital certificates, but we have another generous sponsor who's going to provide plaques. And Lucy and I are planning on covering the dinner for our finishing school graduates. But we're also planning a meetup for everybody else. If you want to come to Atlanta and have dinner and drinks and just have a good time. We're planning that as well. Oh yeah, the Bahamas looks beautiful. I don't know, Starsky and Hutch. Is that another name for us?
Yes, I think they were cops, weren't they?
Oh
Did they
my
have
God.
it was like in the I want to say either 80s, Starsky and Hutch.
I've heard the
Yeah.
name, but yeah.
Anyway, I gotta get going. Gotta cook dinner for the husband.
All right, everybody.
So
We will see you all tomorrow. Thank you all so much for being here. We enjoy doing these with you. Tell a friend, and until next time, enjoy your evening and happy Thanksgiving, everyone.